My study habits were
back on their Oakley, Minnesota farm. Then Carl wandered off one night, and Bill set out to find it. 90 years they lived together. A 98-year-old followed the 95-year-old. The 95-year-old died. The 98-year-old was found. He was suffering from hypothermia. What struck me about the article was not that they were brothers for all those years, but that they were friends. What is friendship? The dictionary defines it as a relationship of trust, mutual caring, and intimacy and respect. I met Rick, I think I was 6 years old. He lived across the street. He and his brother beat me up together. We became lifelong friends after that. Rick was tall and skinny, very smart, but had badly chapped hands. He was awkward. He was socially awkward. He wasn't a good athlete. He wasn't very strong. But we became fast friends. And one day, when I was attacked by some neighborhood bullies, my friends, the rest of my friends ran away. And Rick stood by my side. And he got beat up badly. But he stood there with me. He was my friend. I met Bob at football practice when we were in the 9th grade. Bob was strong and powerful. He had worked that summer before on a lumbering crew. He was everybody's athlete. He was a straight A student. He was serious. He also perspired a lot during football practice, I recall that. But I recall that he was so much better and stronger and faster than the rest of us. On the receiving end of the kickoff, I was back with him for the kickoff as a 9th grader. And I commented that Jackie Webb, one of the new cheerleaders, looked really good. And he told me to keep my mind on the game. Bob was serious. As sophomores, I recall watching him in track. He was captain of the football team, captain of the track team, captain of the wrestling team. He was president of the student council. And I recall watching him run a 440 relay. And when he took the baton, he was a good 100 yards behind. And he ran that race so magnificently. We got beat, but just by an eyelash. I've never seen someone work so hard. As a senior in high school, we traded off at the fullback position. Bob played more at that position than I had earlier in the season. We got to the biggest game of the season against Oshkosh Lourdes. Bob had appendicitis. He called me from his hospital bed because I was going to play the entire game both ways, and wanted me to know, called me in the locker room, to tell me very sincerely that he wanted me to have the best game of my life. That's the kind of thing that a friend does. I knew that he really meant that. I met Sam my first day at Marquette's campus. I had a car, so everybody migrated to me because we went on a brewery tour. Sam had a big smile. He was an Italian guy from New Jersey. Had a big smile and a bigger afro. He was friends with everybody on the campus. It is said that love is blind, but friendship closes its eyes. Sam closed his eyes when his sister came to town. He had one sibling. And he organized this big dinner in a room like this. Asked all of his friends at this fancy hotel to come and celebrate his sister coming into town. I got so drunk, I got a fire extinguisher from down the hall, came in the room and sprayed everyone. And Sam closed his eyes. Today, I've had recent challenges, as all of you know. My partner, right after I was taken into the hospital, emailed me and said, "Don't die. I don't want to take over your cases." He then came to the bedside right after my surgery and told me that he loved me. Brother Michael, who's a black Christian brother and a very close friend, when doctors were telling me that I was a doctor was telling me that I shouldn't go back to work, that I wasn't ready, he took me out for Chinese and told me that I needed to get back on the horse and ride, that I was ready. And I relied on that friendship and that advice, which I think came at a critical time for me. I run with a guy every morning, a trial lawyer named Andy. He's a magnificent lawyer. He brought me back in the courtroom to try a case with him shortly after, to tell me that I was trusted, that I was back. This was important to me. It came at a critical time. I've gotten by all of my life with a little help from my friends. Which brings me to this, a quote by Emerson: "The blessing of old friends is that you can afford to be stupid with them." Which brings me to 2019. We come here for the speaking, for the communication, for learning composure. I come here to learn things, but I come here for something more. I would start naming names, but there'd be no end to that. Thomas Jefferson said, "No man can be happy without a good friend." Lee Iacocca made a comment that's quoted, that his father said, "If you die with 5 good friends, you've had a successful life." And I think that's very true. When my father died, he was born in poverty. He died a wealthy man. He had a wife of 60 years and 8 beautiful children, one who's particularly talented. He wrote his own eulogy, which I found very interesting because I had an instinct the week before that my dad was going to die. He didn't have any terrible disease, but I took a day off work and went home and spent the day with him, which is something I will never regret. He had written his own eulogy, and in his eulogy, he didn't talk about the wealth that he'd accumulated. He didn't talk about his family. He talked about the fact that he went golfing on Thursday afternoons, every afternoon, with his 3 good friends, one of whom was his oldest son, Mike, and his brother-in-law, Al, and his other friend, Frank, and how he spent these Thursday afternoons with friends. I want to say thank you to all of you for your advice over the years, for your criticism, for helping me become a better speaker, for all the things I've learned. But mostly what I want to do is thank you for your friendship, because it means the world to me. Mr. Toastmaster.